Hi, baddies. Welcome back to another episode of Terra's Baddies Club. I'm really excited for today's guest because I connected with her at a few podcast conferences ago. She is coming to True Crime Paranormal Festival that is the second weekend of July. So I'm really excited that I get to see her. We talked a little bit about the festival. And who I had on today, her name is Haley Gray. She is a true crime researcher and she is a family advocate. So she's going to talk about ethical true crime research, and a little bit about the festival. So I also want to give you a heads up. If you want to join and you want to watch the festival, there's virtual tickets available. So purchase a virtual ticket if you want to see the panels. You can't be in Colorado, or if you're in Colorado, come see us. We'll be in Westminster. And also, if you want to just fly, come out, see us, because it's going to be an amazing weekend. And I'm so excited to see Haley. So let's get into this episode with Haley Gray. Hi, Haley. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you because we were just talking about how we kind of did a podcasting course together, and then you have your own podcasting course about ethical true crime research. And I think it's much needed in this space. I don't know why I stuttered. But it's much needed in the space. And for those that don't know you, can you tell them a little bit about who you are?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here and talk. So I'm Haley Gray. I have been in the podcasting industry for over 8 years now. I'm a researcher and writer for multiple podcasts. I also have the training course, like you said, True Crime Podcast Training, where we teach people how to research for true crime podcasts in an ethical way. And our motto is make true crime better. And I really, that is what I feel like we're doing. And we do like monthly webinars and 2 sessions a month where people can watch me research. And those are free and open to everyone. And I just really, really like educating people and helping out. And then in addition to that, I also volunteer for Light the Way advocacy project. They work with families on missing person cases. So I really like that because I get to learn about advocacy. And then I also am on the board of the Bride Again Foundation. I'm the secretary, and we give Bexley boxes to police stations around the United States. And they are filled with like everything a kid would need if they were ever taken to the police station for, like a traumatic reason. And I'm really passionate about that. And when we go to True Crime Podcast Festival next month, we'll have a box in person, which is really exciting.
I love that. So you can see everything that they kind of get in that box and what's contributing to that.
Exactly, yeah. And the box is really, it's called a box, but it's really more like a trunk. It's huge and it's filled with hundreds of dollars worth of things. And there's things for babies all the way up to like preteens. There's sippy cups, diapers of every size, allergy friendly snacks, blankets, plushies, toys, books. I mean, you just name it, and it's just in there, and it is stuffed full. And we've placed over 50 boxes, which is really nice. And the one going to the festival will be donated to a Denver area police department, and it's our first box in Colorado. So it's super exciting.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you know what station?
Not yet. We're still working with the victim, like their victim advocacy program. That's usually who helps place them. But as soon as I know, I'll update everyone. But it'll be really nice to have one there.
I love that. There's definitely a lot of true crime stories that have gone down in Colorado
Yeah, so many.
and really big ones too. Like John Benet Ramsey, drawing blanks on other ones because I don't want to say
Gann
the
and
wrong.
Stalk was a
Yes.
big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so hopefully there can be more awareness to how we can educate people about these true crime stories. And when you're researching a case, where do you start with that?
So that's a great question. I usually start with an outline, and then depending on if the case is a cold case or it's a case that's been solved, it kind of depends. So with a cold case, I immediately dive into the newspapers.com archives. They're my favorite source. And if it's a solved case, then I usually try to find court documents, whether it be appeal documents or police reports. And that's usually because you'll find like a really great overview of the case, and you can usually trust the information that's in there. Now, if it's like a wrongful conviction case, then maybe don't trust what the prosecution is saying. But for the most part, you can find a lot of information in those documents, and you don't have to worry about like plagiarism or anything like that. And again, it's just more trusted information. But and I also use newspapers.com and all kinds of other sources for solved cases. But the reports, any type of court document, are always going to be like my basis.
Okay, so don't go to YouTube and just take the stuff from YouTube, right?
No, don't do that. Yeah, the only time I use YouTube is if there's like the court, um, like they uploaded the court, like court TV or Law and Crime will like film the courtroom and the trial going on. That's the only time that I'll usually use YouTube, or if there's like a family interview or something. But yeah, I'm not just going on there and being like, well, this one person said that this happened, so I better believe him.
Well, it's really interesting because watching a lot of YouTubers out there, even big ones, who have even covered my own story, I'm like, oh, no, that didn't happen that way. That didn't happen that way. But even in the documentary, things didn't quite happen. They got like a few things wrong, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important to work with families whenever you can. It's not always possible, but when you do work with families, you always learn that there's something inaccurate out there. Like I'm working on one case right now that's going to be coming out soon, but it's the disappearance of Brenda Lambert. And if you go to the West Virginia like state police website, they have her date of disappearance wrong by like months. And so it's like really crazy because this is supposedly a trusted source, right? You'd expect the state police to have things right. So if you didn't talk to the family, you would be like, well, I actually don't know what day she went missing because the state police say this, but this article says this. And so it's like anytime you can talk to a family, they'll usually tell you, like, oh, no, that's not exactly accurate. And I always feel like I get better, like the episode's better when I can talk to a family.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And what are some tips that you recommend for working with families? Because I think that being sensitive and trying to navigate what is best, how to communicate with them is so important. And it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so I actually helped create a guidebook on this topic because I feel like this is something that I've learned how to do, and I want other people to feel comfortable doing it too. So I worked with Season of Justice, Project Cold Case, and then Kristen Seavey from Murder She Told, and Whitney from Navigating Advocacy. So we all worked together and we came up with this guidebook on how, well, it's two parts. So it's how families can work with creators and then also how creators work with families. And I just wanted families to know that they have rights because if you ever talk to, I mean, you do this for a living, you talk to survivors and you talk to family members and things, and they always have been taken advantage of by the media or by creators. And so, but a lot of the times families feel like they have to say yes to, especially if the case is cold, they want to get as much coverage as possible. And so I feel like that just leaves them open to like a lot of like vulnerabilities things. So that's where the guidebook came in, and it's available for free. I can send you the download link. Like we want everyone to have it. But basically, the number one thing I suggest is that you just have like open communication. Um, be completely honest with families about the timeline. Like don't make them think that the episode's going to come out in like 2 weeks. It takes time. And every single family I've ever worked with is completely understanding of how long things take. And they're completely okay with it. So I'm always just really honest and upfront about those things. And then the other thing is like, I really like letting families have a say in everything. So when the research is done, I let them review the research again to make sure that it's all accurate because there are things that the media gets wrong. But then also, when you're talking to a family, they may misspeak or, because how can you keep track of like, years and years of information and, get it perfect? I mean, that just doesn't happen. I can't have a 5-minute conversation without, like messing up something. So if you can give them the opportunity to like review the research and their quotes, then they'll feel more comfortable with what's being put out there. And so that's one thing I do. And then the other major tip I have is that if you're interviewing a family, give them the questions beforehand. That way they can prepare. Because a lot of the times, I'm asking like very specific questions because I want to make sure that my research is accurate. And if you give them time to prepare, they can look through the reports that they have. Sometimes they'll speak to other family members, like I just worked on this one story, Brandy Hutchins, and her cousin is her advocate because her dad is 80 years old. But because I sent her the questions in advance, she went to him and talked to him and actually found out new information that she didn't even know. And so, if you can just give them that heads up on what you plan to ask. And also, I always make sure to say, if any of these questions, if you're not comfortable with them, please just let me know. We don't have to talk about it. I know you recently put out a video on Instagram where you gave tips for survivors and you said, let creators know beforehand if anything's off limits. And I think that's a really great tip because you never want to make anyone uncomfortable or put them in a bad position. And that's what I try to do with families as well, is just like, let me know if there's anything you don't want to talk about. And those are probably my biggest tips. I mean, there's others that are in the guidebook, but those ones, I think it's just all about making the families feel comfortable and like they're part of the journey because it is their story. So like, why wouldn't they be part of the, journey?
So, one thing I think is so important is that working with the families and hearing their story and checking with them and seeing what they don't want to hear, that I agree with you. And thank you for why can't I talk today? Mentioning my video because I really created that video after I was talking with a survivor, and I'm like, okay, I gave her these pointers and I want other survivors to know what does and doesn't work for them because it's so important during an interview to be as comfortable as possible. And then I feel like you get more information out of the survivor or the family member if they are more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that same like talking point, I think another big thing, and it can be really hard, is when you are interviewing a family, just let them talk. Like, don't interrupt them. I mean, you're muting yourself while we're talking, which is like great because I don't, I mean, I know you wouldn't interrupt me anyway, but that's what I do when I interview families is I just mute myself and I do a lot of head nods, to like let them know that I'm listening. But it's also like, because you just want them to get it out and you want them to be able to feel like they can talk without you interrupting them and things. And so that's one thing that I've really worked on is just making sure that I just, even if there's a long, awkward pause and you can tell that they're still trying to work on a thought, sometimes these interviews get really emotional and you just kind of have to sit there and let them continue talking because this is an emotional topic and it can be hard, but just letting them talk, I think, is just really important. Um, And I've seen a lot of interviewers not do that. Like I'll watch interviews, like I was saying, one of the only things I'll watch on YouTube is previous interviews with family members, and I'll see the host just like cut them off or like finish their sentences for them. And I'm just like, it kind of shuts down the family member because they're like, well, what's the point? They're just going to interrupt me. And that makes me really sad because this is their story to tell. And I want to hear from the family, not, you know?
I feel like I've had that problem where I may have finished people's sentence for them because I feel like I'm so in sync with them. But having Survivor Squad, it really helped me learn that you need to shut up and let the survivors talk. And even though I'm a survivor myself, their story is the forefront and their story is what we're talking about right now. We're not talking about you, Tara, you know?
Yeah, no, that's really hard because of course, like if you want to let the person know that you're listening to them and that you're taking in what they're saying, and a lot of the time you want to like follow up with your own thing or like, oh, I totally understand what you mean, you know, and so I really get that. And that's why a lot of the time I mute myself because otherwise I would be like, mm-hmm, yeah, absolutely. And then the audio is just me like saying yes over and over again. So yeah, I think it's hard and it takes practice for sure. I would hate to look back at interviews that I did like 2 years ago because I'm sure I am not where I'm at now. And then in 2 years from now, I'll look back and be like, what was she talking about? Yeah.
It's great because when you mute yourself, you also learn, and it's easier to cut out the silences than it is to figure out the overlap, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then speaking of your panel, what we just talked about, that's basically going to be one of your panels at True Crime and Paranormal Festival, right?
Yeah, so I did a similar panel last year. This was before the guidebook, anything like that, but I did it with Arlene Harbison, who is the niece of Leon Morales. This is a case that I'm really passionate about. I try to help Arlene whenever I can. And so when I came up with an idea for the panel, I was like, there's no one else I would want to do it with, you know, but Arlene, because she has dealt with a lot over the years. Her uncle Leon was murdered in Texas in the 90s, like small town Texas. And he was a gay Hispanic man, and they did not like either one of those things. And pretty quickly, his murder was just like brushed under the rug, and nobody really did anything about it. And she's been fighting ever since then. And but she's worked a lot with creators, a lot of podcasts, and we've talked a lot about her experiences and things. And a lot of my conversations with her have taught me how to be a better podcaster, basically, you know. And I was talking to her, and she was like, you know, no one's ever sent me a list of questions beforehand. And I was just like, okay. And she was like, but that would be really helpful for me because she talks about this in the panel. That's why I feel comfortable saying this for her. But she has a hard time keeping all the details straight because the case is very convoluted, and like anyone would have trouble with that. And so she was like, if I can just get my thoughts together beforehand, and then she would say she would spend days leading up to the interview thinking about what the creator was going to ask her. And she'd be like, I'm trying to prepare for all these questions. And then she would get into the interview and they would ask her none of the questions that she prepared herself for. And so that was one thing that really, you know, that led to us doing this panel where we just kind of talked about what it looks like for a researcher, because that's my main thing, to work with a family. And we opened the podcast festival last year, which was really intimidating. It was actually like the first time I ever done a panel before. Um, but so many people told us afterwards like how helpful it was and how much they learned from that. And that was really nice because again, that's all we want to do is like open the minds of these creators and let them know like, because if you never hear from a family and their side of things, like it's really easy just to go about podcasting and just do your own thing and never think about like how this affects families and things. But once you start talking to them, it like really opens your eyes and makes you want to do better. And so that's why we try to like share these things. And then we did the same webinar for like true crime podcast trainings, monthly webinar, and that was really helpful. And then we're doing it again, but we're adding Kristen Seavey from Murder She Told. She is a certified victim advocate, and she also has her own podcast where she interviews families. So I thought she would be great. And then we're also going to have Bethany Hassel, who is the sister of Vladik Hassel, who is missing. And so I'm really excited to be able to have Arlene's point of view from her uncle being murdered, and then Bethany's point of view from her brother being missing. And we'll have kind of both sides of the, true crime cases. And then also we have, Kristen, who is a certified victim advocate. So I'm really excited I think I'm going to learn some stuff, but I just really, we're just going to basically be talking again about the same things, just what it's like to work with creators, what we think creators should be doing, but then also hearing from the families and their experiences and what they wish creators would do and wouldn't do.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I feel like being a victim advocate, you really have to kind of look at it as an overall dynamic, but then individualize it to each person, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that that's really going to be amazing. I love all those people. And I honestly didn't know, I don't know why I didn't know this. I thought Arlene was a podcaster.
She is. She does have her own podcast. Yeah, Box in the Basement. She started it within the last year, and she covers cold cases and she works with families, and she's just become a strong advocate for other families. And I just love that. Like, she's unfortunately been dealing with this for, almost 30 years. So she has a lot of experience with all of this. And she's a very strong person who is there for everyone. And she has a lot of knowledge, and I just learned so much from her. And so I'm really excited to talk to her again on stage and have other people learn from her.
Yes, yes. And then can we talk about your other panel that you're going to do with Sins and Survivors? I think not. And then I feel like I'm missing one other person, right?
Creating advocacy.
Yes. Yeah. How can I miss them? I love them.
That's okay. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a panel. It was actually from your training course where we talked when I was on for 1 week. We talked about like different words and and how you shouldn't use specific words anymore. Like one that we talked about was alcoholic isn't really politically correct anymore. There's been a change to say, dependent on alcohol, or because there's a stigma attached to alcoholic. So we talked about that, and then after that was over, Sean from Sins and Survivors sent a message and was like, I think we should do a panel about this. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so we're just going to have basically just a conversation on stage about different terms and the different ways that you can go about it, and how you should watch your language and your scripts, because you never know who's going to be listening to your episodes. So many times family members will listen to episodes that I didn't work with, and then they'll reach out, and you want to be as sensitive as possible to whoever's listening. And so that's why we want to do this panel, to kind of let creators know, like, these are some things you should look out for. But I think it'll be a really interesting topic, and just a good discussion. It's not going to be like, this is a lecture, how dare you use these words, but it's just more of a conversation. And I guess it's going to be live streamed as well. So that's kind of exciting.
Oh, yes, there's tickets available if anyone wants to join the live stream. I believe there's 10 sessions you can get in that, and that's one of the sessions.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know I can't remember what all the other ones are, but that's, I think, the first live streamed one. So no pressure. It's no big deal.
Well, I know the I Think Not ones are for sure filmed, because that was also kind of what prompted things in a sense. to happen that way because we were doing the lives and then everybody was asking about, hey, can we see it in person? And then I also asked Lainey about it too. I was like, are we live streaming this? And then she told me no during that time. And then I was like, I think something's changed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are interested in, anything that I think that does. And so we got to get them live streamed and let other people see.
Yes, yes. And I'll be one of them on I I'll take the stairs. Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, there's nothing like building up women, working with women, collaborating. And even if you have a big misagreement in front of like 600 people, you can still work through it and you can still come out and support each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you were able to, just talk it through and now look at everything. So I'm all about that. I do not like having any type of like, I don't want to have to go somewhere and be like, I don't want to see them. Like that's so awkward.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I feel like there was a lot of people that like may have took certain sides, but no one's taking any sides now. Everyone's like, okay, like Tara and Ellen are getting along, and like, oh, we love that, and we want to get along with Ellen, and we want to get along with Tara too. So that's just really rad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like it's like we're basically. I feel like creating a new environment in this festival. Like it's really safe there.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. It's going to be a good time. I also like that it's not as crazy as Crime Con. Like Crime Con has like 6,000 people and it can feel so overwhelming. And this feels like you can actually like talk to people and spend time with them. And it's way more of like an intimate setting. I don't know. I really like it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, I think that I didn't go to CrimeCon this year, and I definitely think that there may have been a reason why. But I'm definitely looking forward to a safe environment at True Crime and Paranormal.
Yeah, absolutely. All the people there are great and you can feel safe and it's just really exciting.
Yes, who are you most excited to see their panels at?
Oh, great question. Obviously yours.
Oh, thank you.
I know Sarah Turney is the keynote speaker, so that's really exciting. Um, I'm kind of bummed there was another panel I was supposed to do with Light the Way, the organization that I volunteer for. We were going to do a whole panel on like ways that creators can advocate for families, and I was super excited for that. But then it was scheduled like after my flight leave, so Julie Murray is stepping in for me, and I'm like, okay, well now the panel's way better, and now I'm super sad I'm not going to be there.
I don't think it's way better, but I definitely think that Julie Murray is great and that she's going to bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of, uh, I don't want to say to it because, like, that's not the word to use, but she's definitely going to, like, bring that, like, she's going to make a statement.
Yeah, and she's just so great, and I've learned so much from her, and so I'm really glad she's able to, step in and do that panel, and that's going to be really great. And so I'm excited. Well, I guess I won't be able to see it, but I'm excited for them to do it. It's kind of hard, I think, for creators to get to the panels because you're so worried about like your table. And I know they're doing hours this year where you only have to be at your table for specific hours. So that's exciting um, because we can actually go to some of the panels, which will be really nice.
Yeah, no, and are you bringing merch there? I feel like the merch is a big thing there. I got a lot of stickers there last year.
Yeah, so I'm bringing for the Bexley Box table stickers, and we're working on something else. I don't want to say because I'm not 100% sure we're going to bring it, but there'll be like information about the boxes too. But I love the Bexley Box table because I bring framed pictures of like Jared and Kirsten and Bexley, and it's like very, I just, I want it to be like very like want people to know that Jared was a great father, and like this is the whole reason why the box was started, you know. So like really a family focused table. So I really like that. And then the true crime podcast training one, we have multiple stickers, buttons, bookmarks. Um, yeah, we're not going like too overboard because it's so expensive to buy all of these things. But people just seem to be happy with anything, you know?
Yeah, no,
What
that's
about
so
you?
true. I'm bringing some stickers. I have some that say Eatman. But I'm
Well, I'm
like,
gonna need one of those.
are you in that phase too? Too? Are you in that phase too? Like, where you're eating men, but not really because we're not into like cannibal stuff.
Right.
Cannibalism, that's it. We're not into
Good.
that.
No, no, I'm not into that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no, I about the only man that I like is my partner, and then other than that, I'm like, no.
Right? I feel like there's some in the true crime space that are good, and then a lot that are maybe not.
Yeah. But that seems to be like this the normal world.
It's like the Barbie movie. Always.
I loved that movie. It was so good.
Right? And you know who created the stickers for me?
Who?
Shay.
Aw.
Yeah, she created like all the stickers for me. And then I just like the one I'm wearing right now, if you guys can't see, it's a picture of Dixon. She created the artwork for that. And then I put a rainbow background because I wanted it to be, pride friendly.
So
And then I put
cute.
his name.
Oh, it's so cute. I love it.
And then I also made some weed shirts for Colorado with Dixon.
Nice.
It's like Dixon and then weed leaves behind it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. So at Crime Con, there were like people walking around like drinking. And I was like, when we go to Denver, are we just gonna smell weed like everywhere? Like that's all we're gonna smell. I mean, I'm all for it. I love, you know, weed and I'm totally excited. I just moved to Missouri where it's legal, thankfully.
Okay.
But there were many a trip to Colorado before I moved to a legal state. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be interesting to see like what the vibes are.
I feel like how there was a crime con in Vegas and everybody got a little rowdy because it was Vegas.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be a mellow vibes. Like, yeah, totally. I like this podcast.
Right?
Huh?
They're gonna be like, wait, what's the name of your podcast again? Like, it's just going to be a lot of, I don't know, I'm excited. And it's going to be fun. And the area that it's at is Westminster, which is a really nice area.
Yes, it is. I used to live there.
Did you really?
It was my first apartment ever. And I only lived there for like 3 months though, because Colorado gets really cold.
Yeah, it's nice in the summer. It should be really nice in July. But one time my boyfriend and I went and they got a historic snowstorm while we were there. I'll have to show you a picture. The snow was up to my hips.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
crazy. We got snowed into the hotel. We were in Westminster at the time, and it was like their third worst blizzard of all time. And we would go outside, and you could not see in front of you. Like the snow was so heavy and it was blowing sideways. You could not see in front of you. It was crazy. And everyone got snowed in, and there was like a cheerleading competition. So the whole hotel was just filled with like teen girls, and none of them thought that they would get snowed in. So nobody brought food. The hotel ran out of food. Nobody could leave to go get more. It was crazy. Thankfully, my boyfriend and I had like our road trip snacks. Otherwise, we would have been like starving. It was wild. And then when everyone tried to leave once the blizzard was over, like people trying to shovel their cars out. And I mean, it was just, and then when we finally got out of the parking lot and we were heading home, there were so many cars on the side of the road that had just like spun out, you know. I mean, it was just a crazy experience, but we don't have to worry about that in the summer.
I was like, thank goodness it's summer. Also, it kind of like reminds me of a apocalypse scene, when all the cars are just like on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, I've never seen anything like this before. And it would have been fine because like the normal roads were pretty fine, but they didn't bring anyone in to clear out the parking lot. And so people were just trying to get out with like 3 feet of snow. I mean, I'm surprised we made it out. It was truly wild.
Wow. Wow. So
Yeah.
good times in Westminster, Colorado.
Right? I mean, but it's a nice area, so I'm excited for that. And the hotel is so affordable. I was telling Andrea, my business partner, that 3 nights at the hotel are less than one night at CrimeCon's hotel, and because it was just in Nashville and it was at the Opryland, and
Yeah.
like the hotel rooms there are like 450 a night.
What?
Yeah, outrageous. And everything in there was so expensive. Like a bottle of water from the vending machine was like $5.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. And also at True Crime and Paranormal, if you don't want to stay at that hotel, there's the Westin that's across the street, and that one's 130 a night.
Yeah, it's like super affordable. And yeah, so I don't know. I was just like 3 nights for the price of one, basically. And you don't have to like the Opryland is so huge on the inside. It would take me like 15 minutes to walk from my hotel room to the convention center. And that's a lot when you have like stuff to take to your table, you know, and um it was just a lot. Like I find it overwhelming.
Well, that's what I heard from a lot of people in the Crime Con group. A lot of people were like, the hotel's so big, it's so hard to walk. And, there's a lot of people that don't like to walk, per se. Um, because we're true crime people that, like, not majority of us are avid workouters.
Right. Yeah, and there's a river that runs through the whole thing, so it was so humid. I could not wear my hair down because it grew like 4 sizes and it was so frizzy, and it's like really, really hot in just like the normal area because there's a literal river that runs through the whole thing. There's like a waterfall, there's like a rainforest type. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh wow. That is an experience, and you definitely don't want that humidity. Like I thought we left Florida.
Oh my gosh, yes. Ugh, so humid there.
Yeah. Well, I think that True Crime and Paranormal Festival is going to be so much fun. You're also doing a dinner with your group of researchers, you were telling me.
Yeah, so I was telling Tara before we hit record that the at the last True Crime Podcast Festival, we were just launching the True Crime Podcast training, my business partner Andrea and I, after working on it for like a year and a half. So it was very exciting. It was also my 30th birthday that weekend, which was like this like huge thing. And then what's crazy is that this time it's Andrea's 30th birthday.
Oh, shut up.
I was like, what are the chances? And so that's really exciting. But we were talking about how last year we launched, and then this year we have like 8 students who are coming. And so we're going to have a dinner, and it's like so cool to see um, everyone come together. And a lot of them we haven't met in person because they're from all over. Like one's coming from Canada, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
and so it's like really exciting. I only met 2 students, I think, in person, and that's because one of them was at True Crime Podcast Festival last year, which is how she found out about us, and then the other one I met at CrimeCon. Um, but it's just really exciting to be able to meet them in person, be able just to like spend time with them, and then also just see them like out in the field, like a lot of them have jobs now working with other podcasters, and it's just really great to see them be able to help people and put out good true crime content, because I feel like a lot of content is really sensational and not completely accurate. Like I'll check somebody's I'll see if a podcast has covered a case that I'm about to work on, and I'll see their source list, and there's like 10 sources, and one of them's Wikipedia, the
Oh
other's
no.
Reddit, the other one's Web Sleuths, and I'm like, well, this isn't going to be a super accurate episode. And so I'm really excited to see like students get out there and work for shows and do like deep dive research, and it's just really nice to see, and I'm so excited to meet them.
I love that so much. And for people that want to check out your podcasting course, where can they go and check it out and sign up?
Yeah, it's truecrimepodcasttraining.com. And there's two different versions. There's the standard and the premium. So basically, either one you do, it's 100% online, and it's a mixture of text and video quizzes to make sure that you're getting things going. There's also like a practice research case that we have people practice their skills as they go. Um, it's very in depth. The standard course has 7 modules, and it takes a couple months to go through everything. And then the premium has 8 modules, but that's because there's a capstone project that they do. And if they pass the capstone project, then they'll be certified, and then they can take that certification on to get clients. And then also with the premium course, they get a coach, which is either my business partner, Andrea, or I. And we just help every step of the way. There's like at least 3 coach calls where we talk about everything, and we really help them hone their skills. And then we send out like this really detailed document about like how to find clients and stuff. So we kind of think of the standard research course as for like podcasters who already have their own podcast and just want to like learn more about researching. And then the premium one is for people who like want to be a researcher for other podcasts. But either one is great, and I'm super proud of it. And we continue to update it, as we go. Like, we launched in October was our first like session, and we completely revamped the ethics course, just because I know you're the same way, but with ethics and true crime, it's ever evolving, you
Yeah.
know? And so we have to keep up to date with things and keep it, fresh. And so we'll change things as we go. And if we learn about a new resource, we'll reach out. And it's just a good community. Again, I also do the free webinars and free Watch Haley research sessions. And if you follow us on Instagram, it's still at True Crime Podcast Training. You'll see all of those things. But it's a good way to like learn for free and just kind of see what it's about. And you can also view the first module for free on the website, just so that you can see what you're getting into. And yeah, I'm super proud of it. And I just really, really love helping people learn how to make true crime better.
I love that so much. And
Yeah.
where can we find you on social media, everything, before we continue on for the Patreon?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Haley Gray Research, and it's HALEYGRAY. And then on Facebook, it's just, I think if you just search Haley Gray Research, it's so weird on Facebook. I never know like what the handles are. But basically everything I post on Instagram just goes to Facebook. So, but yeah, I post a lot on Instagram about episodes I'm working on, or webinars, or advocacy stuff.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of Terra's Baddies Club with Haley Gray. I have so many exciting things coming up. I hope to see you at True Crime and Paranormal Festival, virtual ticket or not. I also have a Heal Your Heart in Sedona coming up in September, where you could join me for a healing experience. It's really great. There's sound bowls. We get in tune with our heart chakra, and there's going to be really amazing things. Yoga every day, hikes to go on, and we're going to be in a house together and just bonding and growing, because with community, that also helps you heal. So excited for my Sedona retreat. I also have a 5-week workshop coming up, Moving Past Trauma. You could join the podcasting course anytime. All of those are in the link tree. So follow that. And until next time, I'm Terra. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast episode. Please subscribe, give a 5-star, and I'll see you next time. Bye.